Hey guys, how's it going? I am Danconia and welcome back to the Overwatch League Roundup. Yes, and oh boy, what a week it's been in the Overwatch League. So, going into this, we held obviously the quarterfinals this week. Philadelphia Fusion taking on the Boston Uprising and London Spitfire taking on the Los Angeles Gladiators. But only two can go through to face the Valiant and Excelsior. Now, I'm going to start off with Philadelphia Fusion taking on the Boston Uprising. It was the first fixture of the week. Now, going into this, they were fairly evenly matched, if not Fusion perhaps slightly favoured, with Boston's struggles in stage 4 of the regular season. Going into this, Fusion had the first game, taking on Boston Uprising, and they had the map all. Now, the first game was on Dorado. This was won by Fusion quite comfortably 3-1. We then go to Oasis. Oasis can be an interesting one, but this then throws over to the Boston Uprising, who win this 2-1. 1-1 at the break. Very even, but then we get a blockbuster. Icon World back in the map rotation after stage 1. We haven't seen it since then. We get an absolute blockbuster, boys. 5-4 to the Fusion on Icon World. 2-1 to the Fusion overall in this match. This is where it gets interesting, because in this pool we had Volskaya, which is the next map. Volskaya, Boston were unbeaten on. They had 10 wins and 1 draw, I believe. You can now add a loss to that. Philadelphia Fusion didn't only beat Boston on Volskaya, they thrashed Boston on Volskaya 2-0. Quite unexpected. Everyone probably had Boston nailed down to win Volskaya, but Fusion brought out some tricky tactics with, I think, Hotbar on Tracer, and it completely threw the Boston Uprising and they lost the map. This meant it was 3-1. We did not go to Junkertown, which was our game 5. I'm going to stick with this fixture because obviously that makes them 1-0 in the overall series, but there is still another 2 matches possibly to play. Now, second match, the map pool changes. So, our first map was Junkertown. Junkertown is not a good map for Fusion, so this goes over to the Boston Uprising. 5-4 though. Another blockbuster of a payload map, let's be honest. Then we have Lijiang Tower coming in for Oasis in this map pool, and Boston win this one over Fusion 2-0. 2-0 for the Boston Uprising at the break. Philly Fusion have to come in and do something if they want to seal it out in this match. They do right that, they come out on King's Row and they beat Boston Uprising 3-2. We then go to Hanamura. Hanamura ends 3-2 to the Boston Uprising. Boston Uprising take the game, the match, whatever, to a tiebreaker. 1-1 overall. We did not need map 5 Dorado. So we both had 3 1s at this point. Fusion 3-1 the Boston Uprising, and then Boston Uprising return a 3-1 in favour in the next set of fixtures. This takes us to a tiebreaker. Whoever wins this set wins the series and gets a place in the semi-final. Whoever loses has to wait until Season 2. First game, and this works differently this series because, as you might see in Contenders, they got to pick their maps. So the loser, I believe it was the lowest seed, got to pick the first map, and then the loser of the map picks the next map, and then so on and so forth. I think that's how it worked anyway. Philly Fusion chose to pick Junkertown. Don't know why. I really don't know why, and I'm pretty sure it's the lowest seed that picks first. Or perhaps it's the highest seed, I don't know. But Boston Uprising take this one 3-2. 1 up in the series. Throw to Lijiang Tower. This is where it gets interesting. Lijiang Tower fell to the Boston Uprising in the previous match, but Fusion redeemed themselves. 2-0 to the Fusion on Lijiang. 1-1 at the break. Anyone's game at this point. But then we have Icon World. I love a good bit of icon well played, don't you? 3-1 to the Philly Fusion. Fusion with the advantage after the break. 2-1 to them overall. We go to Hanamura and everything changes. Fusion win it 2-1 and take the series, the 3-match series. Boy, oh boy, what a game. Honestly, fantastic game. Absolutely fantastic. And you look at Lijiang and Hanamura. Those were 2 maps that Philly Fusion lost to Boston Uprising in the second match and then took off of the Boston Uprising in the third match. That's crazy, crazy good. Fusion turned it around. Boombox had a hell of a game on Roadhog, of all heroes. So that's pretty cool. But Boombox had a fantastic series overall. Congratulations to the Philly Fusion, who will go on and face the NYXL, because it is the lowest seed that will face the highest seed in the semi-finals. So Philly Fusion take on the NYXL. But we have the small matter of the second semi-finalist, whoever wanted to face LA Valiant at this point. So, our second quarter-final was London Spitfire taking on the Los Angeles Gladiators. Everything is in Gladiators' favour for this quarter-final because London Spitfire have never beaten the Gladiators. Until watch point, just before the Overwatch League broadcast, where we say, we get to hear, Fisher's not playing for the Gladiators. Oh dear. There's been rumours flying around that Fisher wants to leave. There's been rumours flying around that he was not happy with the way the team was working in scrims. Fisher has denied all of that. So have the Gladiators, I believe. But we'll leave that until the end of the season and whatever happens. But this was us seeing how iRemix would do. Obviously, we don't see much of iRemix now they have Fisher, but iRemix played a lot in the first stage, and yes, he did beat London Spitfire in that first stage. Now, first map pool is the map pool that actually favours London Spitfire, because the second map pool they will play on contains Oasis, which is the worst map for London Spitfire by a country flipping mile. But anyway, let's concentrate on the first match. London Spitfire and Los Angeles Gladiators start off on Junkertown. This goes 3-2 to the Gladiators. Again, London Spitfire, they haven't beaten Gladiators. They get trounced by Gladiators. There's not a lot of maps that the Spitfire have taken off the Gladiators. So, Spitfire lose Junkertown to the Gladiators. Next up, Lijiang. Again, Spitfire lose to the Gladiators 2-1. And at the break, Gladiators 2-0 up, and it's crunch time for London Spitfire. They have to win the next map for this series to be even in the realms of a possibility of a win. King's Row. It may be London Spitfire's homeland, but it's never been a good map for them, and it stays that way. 2-1 for the Gladiators. They take this first match 3-0. Spitfire, honestly, were terrible. Probably some of the worst play I've seen from the London Spitfire in that match. The Gladiators, if you want a possibly play of the actual playoffs, it's certainly play of the quarterfinals, go and watch the Gladiators on their attack run on King's Row. It was a bamboozle of absolutely meteoric proportions. You got Shawfall. Was it Shawfall? I think it was Shawfall. Was in spawn as Brigitte. He stayed in spawn while their whole team ran out. Reinhardt, Zarya, I think there was a Roadhog in there. I can't quite remember, but Lucio, Moira, all that. Get up. Basically a rush comp. They rush through Hotel all the way down near second point. They take the high ground on the left-hand side of the point as you're coming from attacker spawn. And then, as the London Spitfire obviously would rotate, their tanks will rotate, and their supports and their DPS will rotate behind the tanks. Obviously, they know that Gladiators going to the left. They rotate, and then Shawfall, who's still in spawn as Brigitte, switches to Widowmaker. Up to the top window of attacker spawn. Ding! Bye-bye Birdring. Ding! Bye-bye Closer. GG's. Oh boy. The biggest bamboozle you'll ever see in Overwatch. Unbelievable play from the Gladiators. And that earns them the 3-0 in the first match. But it's not over. Boy oh boy, it's not over, but this was looking grim for London Spitfire, right? They now have to go into the worst map pool. Saturday, 14th of July at 9 PM BST, London Spitfire had to beat the Gladiators to stay in the playoffs. Game 1, Dorado. London Spitfire 2, Los Angeles Gladiators 1. And we're thinking, hey, Spitfire have improved slightly. Game 2, Oasis. London Spitfire's worst map. They have a win rate of about 10% on Oasis, or something stupid like that. London Spitfire 2, Los Angeles Gladiators 0. London Spitfire were playing phenomenally. I can't tell you how well Spitfire were playing in this game. At the break, Spitfire up 2-0. Gladiators absolutely shook. They did not know what to do here. Spitfire were playing to the levels they were playing at in Stage 1, if not better. And we all know what happened in Stage 1. Game 3, Eichenwald. London Spitfire 3, Los Angeles Gladiators 0 in every sense of the word. 3-0 on Eichenwald, 3-0 in the game. In the match. Whatever you want to call it. 3-0 Spitfire, levelling up the series 1-1. Not only is that Spitfire's first win against the Gladiators, I believe that is the first win for London Spitfire against the Gladiators on any of those maps. So, yeah, Spitfire turned up in the second game. But of course, it's not over, because it now goes to a third game, a third match, to decide the series. Could London actually do it? You better believe it. Game 1, Junkertown, sorry. London Spitfire 3, Los Angeles Gladiators 2. Not as easy. I'll say that, because when Gladiators get that Bastion comp running, pirate ship, boy oh boy, it's hard to stop. But Gladiators going into the last point had something like 5 minutes to push that point. I think. Anyway, or did they? I don't know. That might have been the other match where they lost. I don't know. But Spitfire win Junkertown anyway. They find a way to stop that awful pirate ship. I'm sorry, I don't like pirate ship. It's an annoying comp. Game 2, Lijiang Tower. London Spitfire 2, Los Angeles Gladiators 0. This is, at half-time, 2-0 to Spitfire. 5 maps to 0 on the day, over 2 series. And this is a team that's never beaten the Gladiators. Ever. We did not expect this. London Spitfire are on series point here. They win the next map, they are in the semi-finals, they will take on the Los Angeles Valiant. Gladiators have to win it, otherwise they're out. It's the end of their season if they don't win it. Kings Row. Remember this one? This Shawfall bamboozle? It's not going to work again, and they don't try it again. They try to rush the point. This one is an absolute blockbuster. 5-4 to the London Spitfire. This is possibly one of the craziest things I've ever seen. To go 0-3 down in that first game look like absolute trash, and I'm being, perfectly honest. They look bad. Spitfire looked real bad. And then to just, on another day, go 6-0 on maps, knock your opponent out, and play some of the best Overwatch you will see. Absolutely crazy. And it's nice to see that after that injury that Birdring got in the, near the end of Stage 3, Birdring was back at his best. And when Prophet and Birdring pop off, you know they're going to do mighty bloomin' well. In that first game where they lost, Gesture did not look good. Gesture's Reinhardt is questionable. But Gesture real turned up in the last two, and Spitfire progress. By hook or by crook, they progress. And they will take on the Los Angeles Valiant for a place in the final. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Now, of course, let's go back to the first point of this Gladiators game. There was no Fisher. And I know that Fisher and iRemix are getting a lot of backlash over this. Where do I stand on this? Fisher would have made a difference. I think he would have stood more of a chance in the battle with Gesture. But I think iRemix at times was winning the battle of the Reinhardt, simply because Gesture's Reinhardt is not in a good place right now. But when it goes to Winston or Orisa, Gesture tore him apart in the last two games, especially Gesture's Orisa. His holts were on point. He was halting people into Dragon Strikes and Diva Bombs. It was crazy. Gesture, his Orisa in those games, especially on Junkertown, was absolutely phenomenal. Would Gesture have changed things? It possibly would have been closer in the last two games, but I still think Spitfire would have won it. Simply because the way Spitfire were playing, I think they would have beaten anyone on that Saturday, to be quite honest. You put them up against NYXL, I think they would have beaten them. Spitfire played a level of Overwatch we haven't properly seen from them in a long time, if ever. And if they can keep that up throughout these playoffs, they are a team to be afraid of. Doesn't matter what your name is. Whether your name is LA Valiant, whether your name is Philadelphia Fusion, or whether your name is NYXL. So, a blockbuster week of fixtures. And next week just gets even bigger, or this week because it's Monday. Week 2 of the playoffs is the semi-finals. On Thursday, July the 19th at 1 AM British Summer Time, Philadelphia Fusion will take on the New York Excelsior in match 1 of a possible 3. At 3 AM, London Spitfire will take on the Los Angeles Valiant, again a match, game 1 of 3, or match 1 of 3. It's kind of weird that, because you think they put London Spitfire on first, considering their audience, but whatever. Saturday, July the 21st at midnight BST, London Spitfire will take on Los Angeles Valiant in the second match, and then at 2 AM you will have the third match, if needed. On Sunday, July the 22nd at midnight, you have the Philadelphia Fusion against the New York Excelsior in their second match, and then straight after that at 2 AM-ish, you will have the third match if it's needed. I don't know why they messed around the times, it's a bit annoying. I like the Saturday times that they had for London Spitfire previously, when they were on at 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock respectively, but there we go. How do I see this going? Close. Close. I think ultimately Fusion will succumb to Excelsior. I think Excelsior will beat Fusion, but I think Fusion will put up an admirable fight. Spitfire Valiant. If Spitfire play like they did in the last two games against Gladiators, they will beat Valiant. But it will be close. If Spitfire play like they did in the first game against Gladiators, Valiant will absolutely romp over London Spitfire. It won't be even close. But I believe possibly the last two games of that Gladiators game might have been a turning point for London Spitfire. Honestly, as much as you can say, well, on paper this team's like this and this team's like this and they play like this, so they play like this and they're going to lose and they're going to win. The playoffs has already shown us that it is so difficult to call. The casters, or the casters, or people on the desk on the Overwatch League are 100% wrong, I believe, right now. And that's testament to show that how unpredictable this is. If Fusion come out with bamboozles like the Gladiators pulled off, they could be XL. And at this stage, let the best team win, huh? Let the best team win. Spitfire Valiant should be an absolute blockbuster. I think it'll be closer than the Fusion Excelsior game. It's so hard to call, I probably wouldn't even make a prediction on Spitfire Valiant because I really can't. I can't. Because when Spitfire turn up and play the way they can play, they can beat anyone. They really can beat anyone. And they showed that in stage 1 by beating the Excelsior. So, yeah. That is the Overwatch League quarterfinals and the preview of the semi-finals. We are in for some real interesting Overwatch coming up. Again, the grand final will be Saturday, July 28th. In Brooklyn. But who will it feature? Fusion? Excelsior? London Spitfire? Or the LA Valiant? We're going to find out. But, for now, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you'd like to give it a like, subscribe if you're new. And I will see you in the next one. See you then.